It's midweek. Happy midweek, we must say, from all of us at Flow FM 92.7, your Go With The Flow radio station. A minute past 8 o'clock. It's Wednesday, the 19th of February, 2025. Welcome to the Headline News Review. I am Danielle Adeyemi.
I am Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.
Now, the Headline News Review is a platform where that provides opportunity and for us to have our say, to discuss, debate, and talk about some of the biggest stories making headlines, making national headlines, and of course are of concern to many Nigerians. So we kick off with some interesting stories, and then we analyze them. Nicholas Warrenoye is live in the studio this morning. Nicholas, how you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah.
A happy midweek. How's the week been thus far?
Well, fantastic.
And how was your trip down here?
Well, it was okay. And, I had you guys talking about, familiarity with roads. And, you guys have to pay people like us respect, You don't know much about it, Lauren. For instance, you know where they call Korogurma?
Yeah.
Itamodu. I know Itamodu.
Okay, you know Itamodu?
Yeah, I know Itamodu.
Itakurima?
Itakudi, Itamo.
The right questions will not be, do you know? It would be, have you been there?
Okay. Have you been there? All right.
No, yes.
It's good to have you join us this morning. Well, it's a beautiful city because, if you've not explored the city, you just probably might not. You might not know. You just probably think it's just from
where you know,
post office general.
Exactly.
I love this thing.
There are a lot of places to explore.
There are a lot of places to explore within the city. So let's get right into our conversation. Don't forget as well too, views to be expressed on the program is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by the analyst in the house this morning, Nicholas Warrenoye, or maybe comments that were received, but we will try to keep it very, very clean. You're absolutely free to criticize, but it will be much appreciated if it's constructive enough. Please, no place for fake news, fallacies, and logical fallacies. Let's put it that way as well too. And we're streaming live as well this morning.
Yeah, and that's on Facebook at FlowFMNG and on YouTube at FlowFM927. So you can get on any of those apps and get it on live action happening in the studio right now. This story is from the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, revealed that his administration inherited a 13-year backlog of unpaid insurance claims for families of deceased police officers.
No, for me, it's an old story. The issue of paying claims to fallen officers has been a lingering problem in the Nigerian police, and it's one of those factors that demotivates police officers. In fact, if I have once made reference to a pension scam story that I did some almost 14 years ago thereabout, and the amount of scam that goes around the pension and all the benefits of police officers is frightening. And the most saddening part of this is that it's not even about the police officers who are in charge of the money. We are talking about insurance not paying claims. So that general poor understanding of insurance, we see it affecting even police officers, people who put their life on the line to protect the Nigerians. And it's an ugly side of the literacy in insurance, the importance of insurance in the Nigerian economy. Because if you look at it, by and large, if we are going to put it in percentage, we are talking about just about not even up to 1% GDP. That is insurance. As an industry, sub-industry within the banking money sector, it's contribute less than 1% into the national economy. So, and it's about poor knowledge and poor administration of insurance.
Then how do we improve the knowledge of Nigerians? Because basically, I think the ones Nigerians are used to is just the car insurance, and then even that,
it's because it is you have people like road safety
and enforcing it,
DRT, is it DRT? That is this vehicle inspection officers, VIO, because you have them on the highway enforcing it. That is why you see that much of compliance. But generally, I think it's tied to the culture. Regardless of what religion we belong to, the average African is a fatalistic person. He doesn't believe that you have to plan for exigencies. This question of fate, destiny, and all those things. So I think it's part of the problem. So when you tell them insurance, to insure yourself, they say insure me against that. Nobody can insure me against that. Go insure me against that. That one has been determined by God. If God says you are going to do this, then it's going to happen. So that we need to make people understand that it's not about insuring you against accident. We are saying that if that happens. You have something stashed away somewhere that can take care of either you when you are infirmed, when you're unable to do the things you're doing again, or they take care of your, the people who depend on you, your wife, your kids, and because at that point they might still be very vulnerable. So that's the kind of education we need, and there is a way. I think that the insurance gamut, the entire insurance gamut, like it is elsewhere, has not been fully explored in Nigeria. I talked about this kidnap and ransom. It's a form of insurance. Kidnap and ransom, aspect of insurance, taking vital interest in Nigeria because they saw the humongous amount of, money paid for ransom in Nigeria. It's very big. So when can they come in? There was at some point they have the interest of coming into Nigeria. So that is part of what we are talking about. So I think it's by and large it's very sad.
Do you also think that the insurance companies, in a way as well too, they've not done in a lot of enough publicity, and of course the issues of claims and all the delay in getting the claims could be one of the reasons why Nigerians don't
really
even
believe in it.
believe in it.
Yeah, it's true. Because the few practitioners themselves have not helped. The insurance have a negative, image in Nigeria. You talk of, when they give you, like, say for instance, when I was doing English for professional purposes in my university days, one of the language we studied was the language of insurance, and you see things, they tell you about things in fine prints, this question of the devil is in the detail. It's because of the phrasing of the language. They so couch the language in such a way that you sign off even your own benefits without even knowing it. So one of those things, one of the styles of writing, insurance claim is they write in a very, very small print, because there is that tendency because you don't want to strain your eyes. You don't read that particular aspect very well. So it's that kind of a thing, that's the kind of mentality that you have for even an educated Nigerian about insurance policy. So over time, that has kind of created to the negative, view of, insurance matters and things like that, that they will always couch, hidden clauses that are to your disadvantage, So that is one of those things that, they need to work on. They need to make it very clear that insurance is it's just like your bank. It's like a saving. It's just like saving. You see, what we're doing is we take those premiums, we invest it in business, then it yields. So anytime you have an accident, you have something, then they come out. Exactly.
Something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move away from that. Ex-President Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan, is talking about Nigerian politicians, saying that they would act more responsibly when citizens, as Nigerians, refuse to accept wrongdoing. So when they do wrong and, Nigerians have a backlash to it, they would start to act right.
Absolutely correct. And the man has been very consistent in saying things like that. If you recall, there was this instance where he was deliberately misunderstood when he said, as far as it's concerned, stealing is not corruption. You understand? And even, at that time, even educated, so-called educated people, in fact, even shamefully, professors of English and literature, because of the politics of the time, chose to deliberately misunderstand what he was saying. And in fact, ordinarily, if you go through the dictionary, stealing, theft, corruption, they are two different things entirely, denotatively and connotatively. You understand? So, but because of politics, because we play a very strange kind of politics in Nigeria, people chose to misunderstand him and said he's saying that stealing is not bad and things like that. And the man came out and said, look, if you say corruption, it's so wide, it's so broad. You understand? The human mind takes absolute, deals in absolute. Look at all those kind of abstract construct is way difficult for him to understand the implication. But if you say this man is a thief, you understand, you get, it galvanizes you to take action. That's why you pick, you see people picking it and burning people, because the concept of theft is anathemic, to his person, his culture, is everything about him. You understand? He sees himself, it's an existential thing that I'm not safe from this person. But when you say corruption, it's such a, people even glamorize it. You understand? So you see, until we start to understand, the need to, when somebody does something very bad as a politician, there must be a general repudiation of that person. You understand? You see, it shouldn't be when the thief is from my tribe, it is okay. When he practices my religion, it's okay. But when it comes from another tribe, it's bad. Because there has been this very, very sad, tribal banter on Twitter that is quite sad, And I have been saying it when people ask me, I tell them, I say, look, there is enough shame to go around. We are talking of every kind of vices you want to think about, like the case of this killing that we are talking about now. You understand? It's replicated everywhere. There's no need to say that this is how people here are in Ilorin do. This is how people in Igbo land do. This is how Yoruba people do. You see, because if you look at this kind of thing, where has it not happened? You understand? You have soca, in Ibadan. You have Okija in the east. You have it elsewhere. You have the issue of burning people alive in the north. So the vices are all over the places. You understand? So until we form a collective way of repudiating such tendencies generally across board, not justifying it for one reason or the other because it's from our own side. We will always have that. We will always have a problem in galvanizing and picking true leaders.
But again, do you think Nigerians actually got there? Just by accident, or it was a gradual thing.
It was a gradual
thing that was fed to the Nigerian
people. There was this letter. It's a controversial letter, but it hasn't been denied, written by former military governor of General Adedayo, writing. It was an open letter, that was written to the president, the current president, but then he wasn't the president then, about the need to save the Southwest. He went back memory lane to what the Southwest used to be in terms of education, in terms of industry. That culture is eroding. You understand? We are talking of the Southwest that used to be where, when you talk of education, when you talk of human capital development, this is about the capital in the whole of West Africa. You understand? But over time, what are we glamorizing now? You understand? We are glamorizing people like Portable. You understand? Glamorizing people like Naira Marley, who openly smokes and says all manners of things. You understand? That is where our values are right now. Japa syndrome, everybody leaving the country and things like that. Those are the things we are glamorizing now. You just, the issue of this Yahoo, call the average young man, he doesn't see anything wrong with it. Scamming people, you don't see anything wrong with it. You understand? So it's a gradual, it was fed to Nigerians by the so-called leaders, because you see somebody that you don't know exactly where he got his money from, just lavishing money, and nobody's asking questions.
And it's called to take up positions or leadership positions.
Exactly.
Or sometimes rewarded with a traditional title.
Do you know, in those days when we first came to Ilorin in 1976, when you see somebody spending money, outlandishly, you understand? When they see this, obscene display of wealth, your parents will warn you, don't go to that place to go and take anything from him. It's like he's doing, he must have, the source of his wealth is not clear. They reject whatever comes, from you. You understand? When you do Christmas giveaway and things like that, or nobody wants to go there. You understand? But that is not the case now. A young man leaves your house, maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, he drives a big car, he comes out, nobody asks where he got that money from. I'm picking don't make him. That is what you hear. So is that value system we are talking about? That thing has become part of our
How do we restore that? How do we restore that?
You see, the fish, rottenness of a fish starts from the head. We have to, there is no way we can go around it. The quality of leadership has to change. How do we elect our leader? How do we get our leaders into that place? But in a way, it's a come-see-come-south kind of thing. That is a vis-a-vis thing. That is, it's both ways. The followers must be convinced that they need somebody with integrity to be at the head of the helms of affairs. So it's a both ways thing. It's quite confusing. It's quite challenging, but that is just, it's so sad. That's how it has to go. Yeah.
Let's hope we're able to restore it then. Let's move on to another conversation. This one is from the House of Representatives. There are so many in ISEC over the delay in by-elections. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu over delays in conducting by-elections for vacant seats in the National and State Assemblies.
Yeah, that is quite...
Why is there a delay? What's going on?
Unless the INEC chairman speaks to that, we might not know exactly. But maybe I can hypothesize.
Okay.
Conducting election is a very expensive affair. You can talk of the cost. That is number one. Then, of course, you have the issue of pending lawsuit, legal issues and things like that. So those are some of the factors that could hinder speedy, by-elections to fill in those vacant positions. Then again, you see, now we are coming home to that same thing we spoke about earlier, earlier this year, about the need to, this issue of by-election, that is too expensive. If a party has a mandate, maybe that person dies or resigns, I believe that mandate should still be with the party. It is the party that was given that mandate. So conducting a by-election, as far as I'm concerned, is a waste of time. You understand? You allow the party, either you pick the second person in the primary, the first runner-up in the primary to replace it is an idea that has been mooted. And I think we should go that way. Instead of just allowing this, now that constituency whose seat is vacant, I had a loss. Nobody's representing them there.
They lack representation.
So now, at the end of the day, the purpose for which democracy is meant has been denied those people for no fault of theirs. So by and large, I think that calls for, rather than just querying the INEC chairman, I think a better solution should be going through all those proposals that has been made about this by-elections, whether to scrap it entirely, amend the law to allow for parties to decide who will come in, or they can the INEC can decide, okay, at the party level, do an election within you among those first 3 or first 5 people. Okay. Do another election within the party.
You were just answering my next question to you, because again, if we say that the party should just bring forth maybe the first runner-up and then to replace in the case of a deceased person now don't you think that it loses another political party of the chance to also get into the race or get into that position on the basis of, the election that brought in this party was fraudulent?
No. I think that can be challenged on a different if the election is fraudulent.
What if the matter is in court?
Exactly. That is a justifiable means. But while it is in court, you can have a stay of execution. That guy comes in. When the court decides, he leaves the place.
Again.
Of course, he leaves. Yeah, because the mandate is for the party. If the party did not win ab initio, then he leaves. Then the real the party that actually won the election goes into the fills the vacant slot.
All right, within the political party, say Party A, for example, of course you know that it's politics. It's a game of number. And then let's say a particular candidate is favored by the powers that be in the political party. Then one candidate emerges. And then for the interest that be as well too, the first runner-up is not a favorite of the, the powers that be within the political party. Don't you think that will further be deepening the crisis within a political party?
Well, for me, I think it's a lesser problem compared to
the by-elections that we currently
have. Exactly. I think it's a lesser problem, because
don't you see the by-elections as a fair playing ground for political parties to, just slug it out?
Fairness how? You see, if there is any unfairness, I think it's at the level of the party that won the mandate in the first instance. You had a general election, he won. The party won with his candidate. Yes, if there are other issues of, okay, maybe he resigned or maybe death happened, the inevitable happened, and the second runner-up is not the choice of the major stakeholders. That was why I said you could have a different arrangement where you have an internal party within arrangement within them to say, okay, all 5 of you come and recontest again, so they can decide.
All right, interesting. We're still staying with the National Assembly, and this time they're demanding swift justice for homicide and femicide cases. And then the concern is that the delays in trials, overcrowding in correctional facilities. You're a seasoned journalist, and you have been to the correctional centers. You need to see it. I was watching a documentary. I've watched several documentaries about some of the situations prison situations in Nigeria. It's really, really alarming. But hey, it's not just Nigeria. I saw that of Uganda. About 10,000 of them had this prison jailbreak at a time, at some point. So it's not a Nigerian thing. More or less, I'm beginning to think maybe once I'm done, I'll go to other African countries to compare and see maybe it's an African thing. But hey, the overcrowdedness in the correctional facilities in Nigeria can never, ever, ever, ever be overstated. Seriously, because again, maybe that's what the House of Representatives is looking at again.
I think it's part of what they are looking at, because if there are no swift justice, swift, swift, seamless, adjudication of matters, you have suspects in jail, for a very long time, taking up space where convicts should actually be, and their rehabilitation properly managed, but you see, it's a function of so many things, and that is what they pointed out. It's the policing, prosecutorial aspect. If you recall, right on this forum, we've talked about these multiple judicial reforms that are going on, that allows for, so that you can have a swifter, administration of criminal justice system in the country. And, if nothing is done about that, we're still going to have that problem, And, the aspect that really touched me was this femicide, the killing of women. You understand? It's look at what we're talking about, the Ilorin thing. The case is is so sad, that it's a woman again that is the victim. And you know what? Just yesterday, one of the suspects that was picked up, happens to he has to be this network marketing and this thing, it was mentioned, New Life, one of the suspects that was picked up, is into that. There has been a similar case about almost 3 or 4 years ago about, the man has been on Facebook lamenting about the daughter, an former student of University of Ilorin, that just got a call just like this other one to come, and since then they haven't seen that girl. The man reported to the police. This has been like that. Enioluwa, something like yes, Enioluwa, if I recall. That's the name of the lady. So in fact, yesterday I got a call from a mutual friend, and we are telling the old man to go back to the police and say, look, this might just be an avenue to reopen that case. This is a woman again. You understand? So you have instances like that all over. The swiftness, the ease with which women are done away with, violence are visited on them, is worrisome.
Now, should there be a special court that takes off the responsibility to sit on those cases
exclusively,
so that trial can be done and then justice can be served? It's like if you have. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's about the process. It's about the prosecutorial process. That is just it. The investigation from the level of the police to, hand it over to the prosecutorial arm of government, and of course the court system too. You understand? That is what I think the problem is. Do you also think about legal representations as well? Because again, the Constitution allows that, everyone should be legally represented when it comes to court matters.
Of course.
Do we have enough, should I say government lawyers this time?
There is always the legal aid. The court is bound. The government is bound to provide a lawyer for the suspect. It's one of the conditions. If you don't have a lawyer, then the case
cannot start.
So these are some of the issues that delays the swift execution of justice, in the country,
So how do we find a solution? What's the best way? Because again, we've been able to identify some of the challenges and the problems. We say, okay, legal representation is a major challenge. Is it that some government needs to recruit, or the courts need to exactly?
You see, everything will come down to logistics, the budgetary position, budgetary. Then, of course, the review of the administration of criminal justice system in the country. You understand? You see, much of our criminal, justice system is patterned after the pre and post-colonial system. It's a generally repressive law meant to keep people in check, keep people from challenging you. So it is not a people, or it is not much of a people-oriented justice system. So we are bound to have all this kind of problem, with growing knowledge, expanding population, and the rest of them.
Okay, let's round off with this one. On the headline analysis this morning, U.S. investigates claims of aid funds supporting Boko Haram in Nigeria. The United States has reaffirmed its monitoring and evaluation systems to ensure that the aid reaches intended recipients. Yesterday, we were talking about foreign aid, helping or supporting Boko Haram terrorists in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And now they've come out to say they are investigating it.
So when you say you are investigating that claim, it means that you have a basis for investigating. So there is ab initio a basis. So now, don't forget that the chief of staff, as well as chief of defense staff, is it Chris? The name has eluded me. There was this interview he had with Al Jazeera,
yeah.
Where he said, look, that he believes that the Boko Haram over the years have been funded by very powerful interests that are from Nigeria, that are not Nigerian, they are foreign. And he explained why. Look at, you are talking of over 15 years war of attrition with a seasoned military like that of Nigeria, and they have not been vanquished. So how do they get recruitment? And they use sophisticated arms. Imagine the recent ones is drones, using drones to attack Nigerian army. So where do they get all those from? So you have to query the funding. So, and I think that call is in order. That investigation by U.S. Embassy must be thorough, and must be open and transparent.
As much as possible.
All right, well, that's the size of our program this morning, because we just need to step aside. There are lots of conversations on this, U.S. aid and all of these things, international financing of, terrorism and all. There's even this claim by a Nigerian that I'm trying to remember his name right now.
Okay.
That at some point that when he served on the board of Boko Haram investigation, something.
That is the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Adeyemi. Adeyemi
or something like that.
Yeah.
He said there was a time on that committee that they were able to find out that helicopters,
exactly. No. It was all over the place. It was dismissed as conspiracy theory and things.
So
like
some
that.
of these things probably might be picked up again and reinvestigated and see that
exactly.
Because I watched that interview of the chief of defense staff when he said, it's very alarming to see, and because it's worrisome to see that for 15 years have they been able to survive, if not for
assistance,
foreign hand or assistance. All right.
Yeah.
I will pick up the conversation from here tomorrow morning, God willing, 8 to 8:30. Thank you, Nicholas, for coming, and thank you for sharing as well, too. Concern Nigeria, we hope that, the new Nigeria, or the Nigeria that we all want, begins to happen. And, of course, it starts with you and I as well, too. We must play our parts, because we cannot just leave everything to government to do. And it starts from changing our attitudes towards certain things. Not destroying things. It starts from there. Yeah. Paying your tax, it starts from there as well.
Exactly.
Too. Thank you for joining us. We're back tomorrow. I am Adeyemi.
I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.
Here to light up the city, 92.7